Good evening and welcome to Speaker Clubs, Saturday night number 78. We've had different types of sessions over the past 1.5 years now, and yet we have not had a session on something that drives each one of us crazy in different ways, for different things, in different emotions. First of all, let me put a note to the session before we begin that this is not only about your romantic relationships or love in the way we always picturize it to be about two people only, and that too romantic. So it is not limited to romantic relationships. It could be your definition of what is love in different facets, in different contexts. So the idea is we are discussing, because we have in this session people of all age groups from 13-year-old to over 60-year-old. We have an experience of what love meant to different people at different times and different ways they have experienced love. So for that being the context for the session today we are going to talk about what is love. The word itself, love, is so loosely used, so vaguely used, and so often used that it has lost its own significance to understand what it really means. And what it could mean to you is completely different, and rightfully so, from what it means to me. By definition, the Urban Dictionary says, love is the art of caring and giving to someone, having someone's best interests and well-being as our priority. To truly love is a very selfless act in itself. That is what the dictionary definition of love is. But we'd like to listen to what is it that you have experienced love as, what you have given to someone, or how you have experienced love from someone. Because at the heart of every human being, the need to feel loved is one of the most basic emotional need that every human being on this earth has. The need to be loved. And to be loved is also equally important, as important is to love someone. Because we cannot be having one-sided love stories, having people love us, but we not reciprocating in the same way. So the objective for today's session is simple. Listen to stories, listen to what people have to share. Let me just check once again. Okay. Listen to what people have to share about what their experience of love is and how they have grown or learned about love and expressed it. We can share stories from what you have done, or you have experienced, or you have witnessed in the first-hand experience. So please note, we are not talking of Heer Raja, Juliet, and all those stories. We are talking of our experience of what we have felt and what we have done. So please keep your stories contained to your experiences or something that you have seen as a first-hand experience. So with that, let's get into the session. It's an open mic, so it's going to be you all who are speaking and me who's going to be speaking less. Let me begin with who's there. The first person that I have, Rabia.
Okay.
How do you define love?
Okay.
And we'll be having a rotational thing fast, so we'll have quick answers. Keep it short. Rabia, over to you.
Yeah, love means a feeling which gives you immense pleasure, happiness, a feeling to feel for from the depth of your heart, and it is something everlasting, eternal, never ending.
Interesting. So,
thank you.
Shreya.
Yes, sir.
What is love?
I don't know exact meaning of love, but I heard it as love is blind.
Okay, now you're too filmy. Thank you for that beginning. AJ.
Yes, sir.
What do you feel? What is love?
In my perspective, sir, love is an emotion, sir. It can't define by the words, sir. And most of the people think that love and like those are similar thing, but those are totally different thing in my perspective. Because can I explain it? Can I explain it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because when I like something, then I just prepared myself and when I love someone, then I just prefer them, because that's point. Because actual love is with my mom, sir. Because in the morning I angry with him, I angry with her, at her, and but in the noon he cooked for me, she cooked for me, and that's the love, sir. And if we go to the like, then if I like something in the morning, my like can be changed in the evening, sir. Like always change, but love is the emotion, sir. It can't be changed. And with my mom, with my parents, love is the genuine, sir. That can't be changed. If you quarrel with him, it's no matter. After 1 day, it will be cured. Everything. So that's called love, sir, in my perspective.
Interesting. Thank you, Ajay. Please welcome Talat and Preeti. Good to see you back today here.
Thank you, Rahul.
Preeti, good. You said thank you. Now the question is to you. What is love according to you? 30 seconds, 10, 20, 30 seconds, quick.
Okay. Okay, I have not had the privilege of listening to the other people.
Go ahead.
But to me, earlier, when I used to think of love in terms of at least romantic relationships, I think it was all about us looking at what we needed. The more that I've thought about it, it is more about, I think love is a very selfless, true love is at least a very selfless emotion like we have for our kids or sometimes our parents, where we really think about what we can give to others rather than what we can take or what we are getting, right? So for me, I think that is what true love is versus what usually love is popularized as in movies. When it's about attraction, it is about, and like a lot of times I feel like right now it is more transactional. In today's world, it is like I am on dating apps and it is all very swipe and looking at somebody's face and the height and all of that. But when it comes to true love, I feel like it is that feeling when you are not really worried about what you are getting, but you really feel for somebody and you feel like I want to be in their life so that I can brighten their life. So to me, I think that
Interesting.
is kind of
Interesting, Preeti. Talat, are you there? Talat, don't be scared. Okay.
Next chocolate.
Okay. Pratna, ma'am.
Oh my God.
Oh no, not your God. Everyone's God. Take them all together and share what is love. With your experience, I think you should be the person to be speaking on this.
I can tell only one single word. Love is strength. That's it.
Interesting. Love is strength. Okay. Shubhadra, ma'am.
Love is something which keeps changing with age. When you are young, like you're a child, it is the mother's love which is selfless. And it is mother's love towards the child is selfless, and the child is more like a need, and it is affection. But as you grow at different stages, it may be infatuation, it may be passion, it may be intimacy, and then as you grow old, it is more of a commitment and just emotional. It is completely, totally emotional once you become old. You need that small call from your child to say, hi, I'm there. That is something which is just affection. This is my opinion.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you, Shubhadra, ma'am, for touching base on what love could mean at different times in someone's life. And I think you beautifully summed it up, beginning from where you as a child and the love that you get from your mother, or to the teenage where we're talking of infatuation, to commitment, to affection. Wonderfully said. Now, the next question that I want to ask each one of you all is, do we fall in love, or do we can actually fall for love?
or rise in love, maybe.
Rise in love. Okay, I'm not going to be. I'm not talking of the wordplay over here. My idea of asking this question is, do we actually just fall for, or the spurt of emotion which is there, which is love that we call off, does it just happen, or can we create it, or can we build it?
It has to be built over a period of time. When you
Interesting.
just fall in love just like that, it is more of infatuation. Like when you are about 16 years or 17 years, maybe because of the hormonal changes or what. For girls, oh, when they see a smart and handsome guy, oh my God, I'm in love with him. It just passes away. And then, that's what I feel when it comes to one certain age.
Interesting. I've fallen in love at first sight. 8
Now,
times.
how many times?
8 times. I was just going to add that. The reason why I said that is because what we often confuse love and infatuation or attraction or whatever you want to call it. There's a big difference between what love is. Like Umam just Shubhadra ma'am just mentioned it. It's commitment. Pratna ma'am just mentioned it. It's strength. And you can't have a moment to be defining a commitment or to be defining a strength. It could be a spur of an emotion. That is something that I've always seen. A lot of people confuse that spark at the start to be love. While love is actually what happens after that spark. How it is built, how we are working on it is something that is always a thought which comes to me. Then why do we, like as an example, not just with human beings, with everything that we love? You talk of a car, you talk of human beings, you talk of every other thing that you say that you love. Why does that love taper down over a period of time? Why is that lost love? The first time I buy a bike or my car, cleaning it every day for 6 months. Today it's 4 years and that car is just lying there with the dust, with no cleaning or whatever you want to call it. It's like that. Why is it that love tapers over a period of time? What's wrong or what's missing? Preeti, go ahead.
I think, like they say, the chase is gone, right? I mean, you've got it. So I think you take for granted what you already have. So that could be one reason. Of course, you can grow that love. At least I don't know about bikes and stuff, but within people, I think you need that constant communication to keep growing in love and to keep that constant. Otherwise, of course, once you've got it, you may not appreciate it.
Interesting. Or the same things that we are often attracted to, or the same things that we often admire, why is it that after a little time, as time passes by, why is it that that same thing which was the spark at the start is not a spark now? And you could relate to anything. So you could talk of your relationship with your parents, you could talk of your best friends who were there giggling, and every day there was so much of an excitement and the love that was there in that relationship. Why is it that it tapers off over time? Why is that spark gone away? Why do we keep searching for something new after a certain time passes with a certain relationship? You could share your experience. AJ, go ahead.
Actually, sir, I want to say one thing, that I loved myself first, or we always loved ourselves first, and because we love ourselves, that's why we have that priority on each thing, importance on each thing according to our love. Okay, and according to the importance, according to time, it's change all the time, because we always relate to we always relate to ours, that this thing is now how much important to me. That's why that spark has gone after a little time, and we are attracted on another thing.
Interesting.
Because
AJ.
because importance is always fluctuated. Because at the childhood, most important is our mother, but at your young adult age, most important is your wife, and at your old age, most important is your son for you. So these three loves defines three importance and in the three situation. So situation and time is important according to define the love, because we love ourselves first, and according to we just define that.
Interesting. Thank you, AG, for bringing that up. Actually, I was about to bring that idea where we're talking about, when we talk of love, we are talking of selflessness. We are talking of others as a priority. When we're talking so much about not us, but in reality, does that work out in that fashion? We as humans are selfish by nature. What's in it for us? Though you are doing it for someone, though you are taking care or going beyond for someone, there's a reason that you are feeling good, and so you are doing it. There's a reason that you feel good by doing that, and you get a better image, or you are satisfying your own pleasure by sacrificing or by doing something for someone else. So the emotion, the focus is on the emotion, on how that emotion is feeding you rather than anything to do with the other person. So when AG mentioned about we as humans are selfish, that was what came to my mind, because you may or may not agree, but love isn't always without terms and conditions. You would want it to be ideally without terms and conditions, but it is with the terms and conditions of how you are giving and taking, what you are feeding onto yourself and what you are feeding to the other person. That is where the balance happens when you're talking of love to flourish. We often see most relationships, you talk of friendship, you talk of any other relationship where you're talking of loving someone, when the other person stops to feed on us, the love starts to evaporate. Psychologists, there's a research which tells actually this feeling which we have, which is actually not love, the idea that we talked of just right now, the moment or the initial spurt of emotion, where you could have a person with 100 flaws and still love that person, because you are in that feeling of in love. Falling in love is a feeling, and it is generally said most relationships work on this basis, where the in love feeling, if it is dominated over you, it will eventually die down, because an average period where psychologists say this feeling of staying in this feeling of falling in love stays for approximately 2 years on an average. So once that 2-year period passes off, the reality starts to bite. The same nagging or that clinging of the other person to you, which was beautiful at the start or that 2 years, suddenly starts to feel like a curse. Why is this person so clingy always? Why do I have to gift always? Why is this person so demanding? The same feeling which you loved, which so many people told you, there's something wrong about this. Can't you see that? Can't you see that thing happening in this relationship? But you are blind. Like someone just mentioned, we are blind in love. That's how it is with us, because we are in that feeling of falling in love, which is going to last for a certain time, because at that time, literally nobody can see any flaws in the person they love, because they are falling in love. The reality strikes later. Now let me ask you, what is it that one quality that you look for serving when you are in love with someone? When someone says that they love you, what is it that you're expecting from them? Vijaya.
Their time.
Interesting. Their time.
If they are
yes, go ahead. Vijaya, go ahead. Go ahead, Vijaya.
If they are providing time, that is the most important thing in this world. Priority. So that thing I want from the one whom I love and who is loving me.
From whom you love and whom you are loving. Okay, interesting. Vijaya, hold on to this point. I'll come in a little detail on this element a little later. Who else? Rabia.
Yeah, I want someone
if I were to ask you 3 words of someone who loves you, what are those 3 words?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
What are those 3 words that you would want from someone who loves you? 3 adjectives or 3 qualities.
Okay. Someone to say me.
Okay.
Okay. Someone to say me that they are there forever. Okay. To be honest. Okay. And just to keep loving me. That's it.
3. Now, if I were to ask you, of these 3, which is the most important?
To be there with me in all ups and downs of my life.
Interesting. I'll come back to you later. Who's there? Preeti, go ahead. 3 words.
Okay. I'm gonna, okay. So I think the emotional connect is the most important. Somebody to be grounded. And I wouldn't discount the whole attraction piece, because I think that needs to be there before you build onto something. You can't, like, I have struggled with building it with people who are in love with me, and I'm like, no, not attracted. So for me, that is very important as well.
Interesting. Interesting. Pratna ma'am, anyone? Pratna ma'am? Shubhadra ma'am, go ahead.
For me, at my age, it is to understand each other. Like, for example, now, my dear darling husband is there in the kitchen because I'm busy with you. He's there in the kitchen, just putting rice on the stove and then taking it out on a plate and giving it to me. That is something which is love and affection and understanding and commitment. That is what you need.
Shubhadra, next time you mention that with anyone else outside, please don't mention it the way you did. While you're busy, your husband is busy somewhere, you're busy with me. Don't mention it like that.
Why not? I mean, that's why I mentioned particularly at my age, that is what you need. At your age, it's totally different.
Interesting. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Madhu. Madhu, are you there?
Yeah, Rahul. You're able to hear, right?
Video, if it's possible.
Yeah, bandwidth this week.
No issues, go ahead. So what are the 3 things that you look for someone who would love you? Who would say that they love you? What would they stand for?
Yeah, I believe that, whatever we ignore in us or whatever we do, because they'll recognize and they'll tell us that, no, you are good in that, I admire you in that way, or such kind of qualities or some our behavior or nature or habits, we didn't really don't care about it, but they really attracts or loves us because of those things also. That's one major part. People will tell, oh, then we realize, oh, do I have this good quality, or I have that. So I feel like that's the one. That means as someone said, we don't love much. I mean, we love always that selfishness, whatever it will be there, but the expression or expressing, I love myself, I love my, we don't have that thing. So when somebody did for us, that's a big thing for us to know. Okay, someone is loving us, and that's very important for one person. And the second thing, as earlier when ma'am said, there's a time. So always, obviously, whatever, in this life, we don't know what we're, we are going to do, and work on life, balance thing. But obviously, that for all the odds and happiness moment, someone should be there. Yeah, that's the second thing I believe. And third thing is just whatever we do, whether it is good or bad, because everyone will do the thing in their perspective that's good. But when you in love with someone, first of all, you should accept, in the such a way. So I believe these 3 things are very, very important in my perspective.
Interesting. Thank you, Madhu, for that. Akanksha, Shreya, if you talk of your parents, if you talk of your best friends, what would they stand for when they say they love you? Go ahead, Shreya.
Like, they give us all our needs. Like, my mother is giving me food and my father is giving me money for shopping.
Okay, go ahead.
And they love us means they'll stand by us, and if we make mistakes, they'll correct us.
They'll stand by you or they'll correct you?
Both. If it is not a mistake in us in society, they'll stand by us. Again, if we make mistakes, they'll correct us.
Interesting. Akanksha. Friends, family, sisters, brothers, anyone?
I think it's like it's more like you fight. Whatever happens, it happens for a moment of time, but again you get back to it. You get back to the feeling. You all the disturbances in between, yeah, all the downs can still be covered by the ups. I think that is what it
Interesting.
is.
I think that's what AJ mentioned when he said that in the morning I had a fight with my mother, and afternoon there was yet yummy hot lunch prepared by her, despite all the things which happened. Interesting. AJ, go ahead, quick.
I have 4 words, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, first is importance, second freedom, third adjustment, and fourth quality time, sir, not time.
Interesting. Now here, when you say those 4 words, actually, if we go on to dig deeper on those 4 words don't connect actually. The four words don't connect. You want freedom and you want adjustment. How is that working? Freedom will be do whatever you want to, I'll manage. Adjustment is I'll do what I want, you adjust. So there's a dichotomy in that. There's an irony in what we're saying. Sri Krishna.
The first thing is patience, because मेरे पास तो patience है ही नहीं. Yeah, for that. And another thing is the person needs to be honest. I am honest. And third thing is like they need to help. First quality तो मेरे पास ही नहीं है. I accept. Zero.
Interesting. Now, moving a little deeper into this conversation that we're talking of, why I asked what you want from the other person when they say they love you is because you have seen in this one room, in this one meeting, we have had different people wanting different things when they say love. A different expectation that you have when you say about what is the other person doing for me. And because you have that expectation based on your definition of love, you will surely be doing the same thing for the other person. Yes, no. You will be doing the same thing. You give freedom, you give adjustment, you give importance, you adjust good looking attraction, whatever it is. As much as you expect from someone else, you would be doing the same thing for the other person because it's love. That's how love has to be, right? Now comes the important question. How do you find, after that phase of being or falling in love is gone, how do you find 2 people with different expectations of what love is to stay in love? Preeti, go ahead. Preeti, okay, Preeti, are you there? Now the point that I'm trying, the point that I'm trying to share over here is we have our definition of love. That's the reason I asked the session today is what is love? I didn't ask you what is your love or what is my love. I asked you what is love. And while its own definition is very variable in nature, it changes from what it means to you and what it means to the other person whom you are loving. The biggest challenge why people fall out of love is the lack of sync between what you say as love is and what the other person says as love is. Now here's interesting. This okay, let me confess beforehand. A large part of what I'm going to share from now on comes from a book called as 5 Languages of Love.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
It's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful book. Again, I've not got deeper into it, but the idea is it talks about how many of you all native. AJ, what's your native language?
Bengali.
Interesting. Akanksha.
Telugu, sir.
Vijaya.
Hindi.
Rabia.
Urdu.
Interesting. So here we have 5 to 6 or 7 to 8 different languages of native language of people. Now here's the thing with love. They are broadly speaking 5 kinds of love by definition of what it is there in the way people have their priority. But The challenge is each one of us, like a native language, has one dominant style of love. When Preeti mentioned about attraction, there's one angle to it. When Akanksha, when Shreya mentioned, or Rabia mentioned, or AJ mentioned about other elements, there are different things which you are speaking as your primary language. Not that despite AJ's primary language being Bengali or Akanksha being Telugu, it's not that they don't learn the other language. We are all communicating in English or Hindi right now. But we are communicating because you all are on the same platform. I understand that you understand English. But for me to be even more impactful, if I know I try to learn Bengali, AJ will connect deeper with me. If I talk in Telugu maatladete, Akanksha inka deeper ka connect hota. Urdu मेरे को आती नहीं है, तो मैं try भी नहीं करूंगा. विजय से मैं हिंदी में ही बात करता हूँ. The point that I'm mentioning over here is we all have a commonality. Thoda idhar udhar sab kuch aayega. When you talk of expression, there's a little bit of everything in us. But for us to be selfless and be in love, we have to know what is the language of the other person. I'll just be disclosing what are these 5 languages, which broadly all the factors that you all mentioned right now can fit into one bucket. And again, I'm saying it is not a case where you are purely one language. You are a mix of all, but you will have a dominance of one language. You will have a dominance of one language. And this is very important for us because you know your dominance from what you all have shared just now. You know your dominant language. What's important is that the one that you love, supposedly, if the focus is not on love and the other person is the focus, you'll actually understand what is their dominant language. आप एक प्यासे को बोलोगे कि मैं तुमको जूस दूंगा, खाना दूंगा, सब दूंगा, doesn't fit in. How many times have you experienced a situation where you have said, मैं इतना करता हूं, फिर भी उसको लगता है मैं कुछ नहीं करता हूं. I do so much. गिफ्ट दिया, ये किया, वो किया, लेकिन उसको लगता ही नहीं, वो खुशी नहीं होती है. The underlying reason is the difference in language. While I'm expressing one language, the other person understands the different language. मैं जाके चाइना में जाके हिंदी बात कर लूंगा तो कितना भी बात कर लूं, कितनी भी शुद्ध बोल लूं, कितनी भी प्यारी बोल लूं, कितनी भी प्रशंसा कर लूं, कुछ भी कर लूं, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. Because it's not their language. And so, if at all, there is something called as love, it is in this definition that you have to understand the other person's language, and from there, your expression has to start. That is where love lasts. Let me again confess to you all, I'm no love guru. I don't have any experience except for one. So there's no trial and error that I've had an experience with 4 or 5 that I can become a guru. But still, with one and whatever it is working out, I can tell you this of how it is working out based on this experience. So let me share with you the 5 languages that are called often when we talk of the different languages of love. The first one is about the words of affirmation. When you are looking for, when you say your love is about someone supporting you, someone appreciating you, even if you do something wrong, they are still there by your side. They are the ones who are giving you kind words. That is something that someone looks up to. When you're saying love is this, that is the power, the words of affirmation. They are consciously spelled out and told. The second, now while I'm sharing all these things, reflect on what you said and reflect on what is happening, what is your dominant style, so that you'll understand what love means to you. And then we'll come on to the next step where we can understand how we can make love work in our relationships. The second one is about quality time. We have already had 3-4 mentions over here about time dena hai, priority dena hai, importance dena hai, just be there. All these elements where we are talking of the presence, the individual's presence in itself means love. That is what love signifies, when that person is there for you, not standing up. I'm not talking of words of appreciation, of courage. I'm telling just their presence is there is what makes all the difference. When someone is giving you time off a 24-hour a day, they're still, after all the hecticness or whatever reasons they have, they can still give you a time. That's where love is. It may not be in the quantity always, but if they're making out time for a dinner, keeping that phone aside while they're sitting with you and talking to you, that's love. Quality love that we call off. The third category, the act of service. I often ask Pragya, I try to help. I try to share the burden. But many times where I missed out on is asking, what do you want me to do? I think I'm helping. I think I'm helping, taking the burden in the house or doing all the things which I feel is love from my end, but not asking, what do you need me to do? Tell me that. That's an expectation of love from the other end. And what am I doing could be very different. So an act of service is where you're going beyond and serving the other person based on their preferences, their priorities, and standing up to them. The fourth category is tangible gifts. We could have someone who longs for, may not be expensive. They look for and long for tangible gifts. You suddenly surprise them with something unexpected. You surprise them with maybe a candlelight dinner suddenly, or you surprise them with a gift, a party, or doing something. You're definitely, again, there's no judging of black and white, good or bad over here. We are all humans, and what we desire could be different as individuals. So there's nothing right or wrong in that. You could call, okay, this is more of materialistic, or these are the gold digger types, or whatever you want to call. But the fact is, it's not about the value of the gift. It's about the gift in itself. And that's where I've always had this, because 10 years back, I still remember I'd gifted Pragya a bracelet with star, chand, cross, and all those things. A gift worth not more than 40 to 50 rupees, I believe. But that is something that she still remembers. So I got that same thing in gold recently. A small gift. But the point is, something tangible is something that people expect. That's one person's kind of love. The last one is about the physical touch. Preeti mentioned about this. The need for attraction, the need for basic, a hug, a kiss, or just sitting by on a couch and lying down in the lap. The physical touch is where this kind of love stems from. Now, look at all the things that you said were your priority in what you saw or what you want from the other person to love you. Be it a friend, be it your parents, be it your romantic lover, or be it whosoever you're talking or referring to when you have the word love in your mind. Ask yourself this question. My things are clear. I fall of these 5 buckets. I fall in the dominant bucket is maybe the physical touch. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to have someone who's by my side silently, and I can just put my arm over her and just sit and just want that, nothing else. I could be that types. What's important is relationships break because you do not make an effort to find out what is the dominant factor of expression of love of the other person. Now let's get back to the open mic. What do you think for the ones that you love, whosoever it is there? Are you aware of their dominant expression of love or their language of love? And what are you doing which you were not doing in the past? Vijaya. It could be anyone. I'm not talking of just a romantic relationship, okay? It could be your children. It could be Preeti. Go ahead.
So I have seen that with my mother. I think for her, that words of acknowledgement of whatever she's doing is very, very important. You know, sometimes earlier I used to think, why does she want the credit for everything? But yeah, the more I've thought about it, it is more about her not feeling acknowledged enough. And she wants those words of affirmation, like you said, right? Somebody saying, Thank you for making great dinner. Thank you for doing so much for us. I don't know if I do justice to, I understand her love language, but I don't know if I do justice to, because I am not the person who says too much. I just do stuff. So I am also speaking my own love language, and I understand this concept, and probably have not made that effort to go completely her way, but I think I understand it and sometimes express it.
Interesting. Now, the Preeti, the situation or the challenge here is, it's your mother. She's not going to run away anywhere. And she doesn't have a choice either. The challenge with most of us is in situations, even marriages while staying married are dead because of this premise, कहीं नहीं भागने वाला है, कुछ नहीं वाला है और जिंदगी काटनी है. बस जिंदगी काटनी है. साथ रह रहे हैं, बस हाँ ठीक है, शादीशुदा है, बच्चे हैं, बिजनेस है, जॉब कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं, काटना है. The reason is that when we talk of love as such a strong force, for it to make wonders in our life, we have to make that effort to communicate, to build that, to make attempt. Equally for me, I'll tell you, I am a completely, what do you say, sadhu insan. कुछ नहीं चाहिए जिंदगी में. And as a result, for a lot of time in the initial part of our marriage, it was like, मैं ऐसा ही हूँ, मेरे को बर्थडे है, कुछ मत करो, घर पे दाल चावल बना के दे दो, बस है, मेरे को बाहर नहीं जाना, नहीं सेलिब्रेट करना. But as it progressed over time, I started to see the same effect on how I'm dealing with this language of mine with even my kids. मैं बोलता हूँ बच्चे का बर्थडे, उसको 2 साल का, उसको क्या समझ में आएगा, पार्टी क्यों करनी है?
Yeah,
but as time progressed, I realized the negative effects of how the love in the relationship is lost because I'm not making attempts. I'm not even making attempts. 10 रुपए का रोज है, 50 में बेच रहा है, क्या जरूरत है? Is a logic that comes in. So all I'm saying is that we may not completely have that style to change. मैं ऐसा हूं तो I cannot make it a point that मैं जाके suddenly candlelight dinner करूंगा या फिर ये करूंगा या वो करूंगा, suddenly पूरा surprises, parties. It's not my type. But if I put that as a label कि मैं ऐसा ही हूं, the other person will be deprived. The other person will eventually stay. Obviously, we are not talking of choices here. Will stay, but
no, some will not also stay.
No, I'm not going off the stretch. Where the challenge is, again, the biggest loss, I'll tell you, where love is lost is not in the person going away. It's in staying together and still not
being miserable. Yeah,
that is the biggest loss. I'm more than happy if they separate because they're giving another opportunity, they're giving another chance to life and love in their life.
Exactly.
But the problem is,
I'm all with you.
Umpteen number of people with staying together,
being
and
miserable,
just surviving together. Vijaya, over to you.
Yeah, after my daughter, no, before that, uske pehle I was just angry bird. No? So every time, even for every second, I am in anger only. And second thing I learned from her, कि नहीं मुझे तो ये चाहिए ही सही, मतलब I want this. So उसको देख के मुझे ऐसा लगा कि yes, I want something. So I am asking to this nature. I'm not asking with people now. Please give me this. Please give me this. No, I am asking to nature that I want that. Means I got that determination, and second is patience in myself as I am loving my daughter.
Interesting. So even in the relationship between you and your parents, Akanksha, Shreya, what's the difference of what is working out or what is not working out because of this difference of language? What is your take? You could have a different definition or whatever your language of love is from what we have discussed, and the language of love of the parents could be different. What do you see the difference as? That's okay. Again, I agree that it's a lot more complex topic for your age, but still, the idea was to just introduce that so that you understand that we are different and we are still right. They are right, we are right. It's just that if we are calling something as love as an emotion in between, the attempt should not be focusing on the love. The attempt should be focusing on the other person's definition of love. And that's where it will work out. Rabia.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I was little there with. Could you please repeat?
The idea is, what you're asking is, how do you see the one that you love, their language being different, and how are you making attempts to work around that?
According to me,
love, you
yeah,
can't tell according to me.
Love has its own language.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is a matter of connectivity which you have from heart to heart, the way you respond to each other, the way you respect each other, the way you care for each other. So I feel language is not the bar. It's above all. Love is beyond everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now the question is specific. Rabia?
Yes.
What is the language of the person that you love? And how is it different from what your definition is? And what are you doing about it?
If someone is from the other regional language, you mean to say particularly?
No, not the language that you're speaking. I'm talking of the language of love.
Okay. Yeah, if the person is not on the same page where I'm in, right? So it's a kind of an adjustment need to be done to the certain limits. Beyond that, I'm not going to change my perspective related to what I have to be. But I'll try to make the other person understand that this is how I am. And if the person is truly respects me or loves me, will understand my feelings and my definition and will come down to my level or on my same page. And then the relationship may go on, continue. Otherwise, there will be a drift. There will be a drift. There will be a clash, I can say.
Then Rabia, where is love in it?
No, clash in the sense the other person may not be able to understand, but
no,
I will try my level. Yeah.
When we say there's love in it, where is the selfless part of it?
Selfless means, see, we will adjust. That's it, I can say.
Who
we
will
need to adjust. Both the sides need to adjust if they love each other. Thank you.
Interesting. Now, I've heard this recently somewhere. For a relationship to run, smoothly, there needs to be always one person who's running the relationship. The question is, who is that person? Is it me or is it her?
Both will be keep thinking the same.
Exactly. Now the question is, specifically on the point that, okay, I would like to ask Lakshmi or Madhu to add over here. How is the language of the one that you love different from what yours is? Madhu, Lakshmi, Pratna ma'am, Shubhadra ma'am, anyone?
Yeah.
Madhu, go ahead.
Yeah. See, I believe, from my childhood, my teenage and career, all those things, I started loving to achieve something. And in the process of achieving something, I enjoy the process also. So that is my passion and my love. And I spend even 10 hours or 15 hours, 20 hours, for my goal or my, thing or all those things. So that's my thing. But after marriage, that should be, that's, obviously that will be, little thing. What others will expect from us is a quality time. And it's not all our life. It's a part of life. Whatever you're doing, it's a part of life. But they tell in their way, but I understand that, it's true. It's only part of life. And here, what I want to highlight here is, whatever I used to be, but there, when I got, some inputs or some, sharing from my, partner, I understand that that's right. Even I myself is not enjoying completely. Only one side I'm going. There are a lot of other sides also there. I have taken as a kind of a thing where I need to take a step forward, to change. I strongly believe that that's, see, after 10 years or 15 years, if I look back, what I enjoyed it, what I achieved. So I feel like that's, there, and I still am working out still, to make both happy. Yeah, that's that's a true point where I'm still working.
Thank you, Madhu. Just to mention over here, the underlying idea that we have to communicate, for the platform to start to work, the relationship to start to work. The idea is, if we are talking of someone else adjustment, we are not talking of love. If you're talking of love, we are talking about communication on how we can still also be satisfied and the other person can also be satisfied. Preeti, you wanted to share something?
No, I had a funny point to share. I was
Go ahead.
thinking that I know I've read this book and it's quite an old book. I feel like these days there's a new love language which is opposite of quality time, which is basically giving somebody space to do their own things. It's like, I am busy 18 hours a day. So this is what you have to understand, right? I don't know. I mean, it may not be a love language, but I've seen a lot of people who I think have that expectation that, you know, I want you as my life partner, but basically this is my life. I work 18 hours a day and you have to adjust to it. So because I've tried to introspect and think about what they want. It's not gift. It's not the other ones. Maybe in a way
here,
service, but
here it actually, when you talk about this space idea, which is a priority for you right now, it comes broadly under the act of service, wherein
so that's what I was combining. Maybe for them that is act of
for
service
them it
that
has
you
to
understand.
be for someone to fit with you in the relationship, they have to understand your language of act of service, because that is a priority where you are left alone to work on your priorities and you have a certain set of things to do. And while respecting that, if they're able to work around, that is where the love starts to work out.
Yeah, so, it's like two independent people getting together and like sharing some space, but always I think working on their own.
That's right.
And yeah,
that's right. As an example, let me tell you, I am right now into multiple things. I have my own hectic places where I'm involved in. And in the same time, Pragya manages that space with me accordingly. So as an example, almost every day, once I come back from office at 7:38, we go for a drive and have a cup of tea and come back. That's that half an hour where we are just with both of us. So in that way, what we have is we have to find a model where we are giving importance to priorities. She understands that I'm 35 right now, and this is a time that I can struggle and fight for a lot of things in my life. Maybe
so that's what I was saying. Maybe that is a new love language where you understand that the other person has those priorities and you're okay with that.
Perfect. Completely understand that. So, okay, now that we have discussed about what the language of the other person is and how we have to respect that, or we have to understand that. So if we are talking of love and the emotion being from your side, it's not just some fancy word that you're focusing on or just the emotion from your end. We are focusing on what is the language that the other person requires when they say love. And that's where the relationship starts to work out. Here, I would just like to mention a few things that you can work out with the one. If the dominant language of love of the other person is of these things, what can you do? I'm just sharing these tidbits and then we'll close the session for today. So when someone's priority or someone's primary language of love is words of appreciation, give them a specific compliment specifically to their character or their personality, and that's where they'll be elated. Give them a handwritten note of appreciation. If you're talking of some formal relationship where you respect and still love that person, give them a handwritten one or send a mail of appreciation. And more importantly, give that appreciation in front of others where the person feels elated. Recognize that they have handled some difficult situation smoothly. So as an example, tell others when they're not there, tell others how you feel about that person or how important that person or how beautiful that person is. So these are activities or small tidbits where when you're talking of words of someone else, the one that you love, primary language is words of affirmation. Use these as techniques where you can actually assert that you love them and speaking their language. Quality time, like we said, go for a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner or tea, whatever it is, whatever works out. Have that undisturbed, non-negotiable time assigned for that person. That tells the other person that she or he is a priority and the most important thing in your life. Take a vacation together. Have that scheduled time slots where you can stay together and just have the time with you. Even if you have kids, make sure you take that out. Take the kids out of the picture, because often a case where we are lost in the responsibilities that we don't get the same time. Have the regular check-in, even if you're in the office. If you can just check in. Did you have lunch? So what are we doing tonight, or what are we working on? The idea of checking in, that this person gets an idea that you are significant and I'm following up with you, works wonders. So do simple practices like going for a walk or going for a movie or just a ride or something enjoyable where just two people are present. For the person whose primary love language is quality time, start working on that. When you talk of act of service, we have already discussed with Preeti mentioning a lot of those things. Have the same routine tasks so that they can focus on their priorities. Vijaya, go ahead.
Main thing is that if one person is ready and another person is not ready, how to handle that situation?
It's love. It's love. And your focus is on the other person. Selflessness comes with a condition here. You are making your attempt to communicate based on the other person's language. And you do it persistently, the other person starts recognizing. May not change based on your language of love.
In this case, what happened? No? In this case, what happened? When one person is trying to do, another person is not doing. Then if the first person changes according to that person, the second person, then suddenly the second person thinks that, oh, first person is changed. It happens so many times. I have seen so many people, they are saying the same thing. So this happens so many times that अरे ये तो पहले जो first person है वो अच्छा लग रहा है second person को, but second person is not doing whatever first person is thinking that मुझे चाहिए या मुझे ऐसा appreciation चाहिए या ऐसा कुछ. फिर जब first person is changing according to second person कि okay, he is busy with the games or he is busy in his work, so I will do some other work and I will give him space or her space. Then that time what happened? Na? Second person is thinking, ये तो पहले ऐसी थी, ये तो पहला ऐसा था.
Vijaya, I would just like to tell here, when we are telling our communication of love, we are not changing our definition of language of love. We are telling how we are responding to the other person. And let me tell you one simple thing. They'll always not be like this. You'll always have this. That's how relationships work. But what makes it work is two things. The constant attempt to mirror what the other person needs and staying there and trusting love. Many people, 2 months, 3 months, अरे बहुत try कर लिया, नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं सुधरेगा, मेरा हो गया, खत्म हो गया. The challenge is that we start expecting very fast of the results to come through. It could take years sometimes. But what follows is again a choice. Again, at the end, again, I'm not telling that though two souls, two bodies, one soul, and all those things. All I'm saying is that you have to make sure that you're communicating what you are doing. मैं प्रज्ञा के लिए सब कुछ कर देता था, फिर लास्ट में बोलता था ये किसने करने को बोला था, मेरे को ये चाहिए ही नहीं. Situations like that will problem. Lakshmi, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, ma'am asked that question, right? In that, we need to check the priority. Actually, something, right? I'm in my office work or something. Really, she don't know, right? My wife, for example, she don't know what's going on around. So that time she said, you should come with me like that. That time I will explain, actually, this is so and so. We will go. For example, today should go some marriage or something, means we know, right? This is important. More than something is there, means surely something will be there. So that ma'am need to understand that time actually this is really important. So like that we can discuss 2 minutes. Okay, this is so and so. So no confusion will be there, I think.
Thank you, Lakshmi, for that. And like I mentioned, Vijaya, the underlying element in everything is we mess up. Disasters happen because of one simple thing: lack of communication. If there is a proper communication which is happening of what all is happening, there is a possibility of working on. I'm not saying still two people can match and stay together. If their priorities are different, their languages are different, and they still can't stick around. The idea is most often the mess up happens because of the lack of communication of what you want and how you want it and what the other person requires. That communication and sticking along for a little longer time is what is the need. Yes, Vijaya.
In पहले के समय में what is the thing ना, relationships are more stable than this time. So this time so many divorces also there and breakups हर 2 महीने में तो अरे change.
Vijaya, I would disagree on that. पहले के जो आप stable बता रहे हो, I wouldn't call that stable. वो दो पटरी चल रही थी.
चलते थे, हाँ चलते थे. हाँ.
So, okay, I'm not referring to someone just sticking together as married as happy. I'm not referring to that assumption. I'm referring to the assumption where we're talking of a cohesive relationship where two people are in love and can take care of each other. That's what we are talking of. So I'm not talking of still marriage. इसीलिए session के starting से मैं बोल रहा हूँ. We are not limiting to a romantic relationship. We are talking of every relationship where you are talking of love and the other person being a priority in picture. Be it parents, be it your children, be it your spouse, be it your friends, whosoever it is. So that being said, let me move on to the next point where we're talking of tangible gifts or acts of service where we can talk of you supporting the other person's priority. What can I do? How can I help so that you can manage your priority? How can I add to it? Tell me, how can I help you so that you can reach your goal? Is where you are telling the other person that I'm willing to serve. I'm willing to help you in achieving what you need. That's how you are using act of service. The tangible gifts are something like a small gift card, surprises, a favorite coffee or a movie surprise where there's something tangible happening. Out of nowhere, we suddenly, I got Pragya cake. It was not an anniversary, it was not a birthday, it was nothing. Pucha, kyun laaye ho? I went back, opened an Excel, found out the day today and the day we met. Calculation kar liya, kuch to aa gaya, 5,235 days. We are celebrating that. Surprise. The idea is, how are you creating that? That's the point. The other person, if that person is about tangible elements where we're talking of tangible gifts, do it however you can surprise that or you can add that spark. And the last one was about the physical touch. Like we mentioned, if the other person is there. Today, as an example, let me tell you, my two kids are so different in nature. One person is so clingy that, okay, ghar aate hi, papa hug karo, hug karo, hug karo. And the other person is, mujhe rehne do. चॉकलेट लाए हैं, घूमने जा सकते हैं, एक राउंड मार के आ सकते हैं. See the difference in personality types of the two kids. And so my expression of love, the language that I speak with both of them is different. Because I want the relationship with both of them to work out. Same person, but the language is different. Based on what the other person's language is. So my underlying, again, the session wasn't today about an inspiration series, but the idea was having an open discussion, open mic, where you all could share what your thoughts were. And I wanted to add to it that I want you to reflect on what the other person's thoughts are. And I'm not telling you to kill yourself. All I'm saying is that when you say, if it is love, it has to be selfless, not your language, but the other person's language is what has to come to the fore. Else it is not love, I would say. You're just into something where the trade is happening, give and take, give and take. If it is love, it will be the other person's language. And some people just can't be lucky that they have to listen to me and understand what we are talking about. Once you learn it, you'll start communicating it. You'll improve in your language of communication and how you are communicating it. And the more you communicate, the other person starts to understand your language too. All I would say is that before I would listen to anyone wanting to share anything now before we close the session. Go ahead, shoot. Yes, AJ, go ahead.
At first, thank you, sir, because I learned a very good lesson of my life because I already tested, I already experienced it, but today I connected. After this session, I connected it with that experience. So I want to share that experience, sir, with you.
Go ahead.
So, sir, most of the time, what is the language of love? This is, I learned this thing that language can be different because I experienced in my relationship with my mother or with my friend, everything. I already defined a statement first in my mind, and I expectation on that statement that you should do that, but he doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know anything because his language is different. My language is different, just like everything. So just like my mom prepares food for me with too much care and love, and she expects from me that when I will feed that, I appreciate her that yeah, this is a very delicious food. But I just ate all the thing, but I didn't say a word. There is a problem, sir. There is a problem. My mom expects that her cook is very good and I should appreciate, because he struggled a lot to preparing that food. But I think that it's not required. I think I have it is out of my mind. So my love is different, my language is different, my mother's language is different. But when we are not able to connect those two languages, then creates problems, sir. So we should try to understand our language. And now today, after this session, I completely understand that what is my mom's language. And after that, if I just say 2 words after a food, not every day, sometimes if I just say 2 words that this is a very delicious food, या क्या अच्छे खाना बनाते हो तुम, सिर्फ ये बात अगर कह दिया मैंने, तो मेरा मम बहुत खुश हो जाएगा और कुछ नहीं चाहिए उसको.
Thank you,
this is
AJ.
the language of love, sir.
AJ, very interesting point. रोज क्यों नहीं बताओगे?
क्योंकि ये झूठा लगेगा तब.
Okay, that is interesting. Got it. Thank you for that. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that lesson that you learned. Vijaya, over to you.
Yes, sir.
I want to just aid in this. जब मेरे हस्बैंड है, मुझे तो तभी खुशी होती है जब मैं जली हुई रोटी भी बनाऊं ना, तो he is eating like it's good. So that is also love.
That is also love. When they even when you mess up, when the other person is not complaining, that is actually a language of love. They appreciate that you are making the effort, and still it's okay. There will be bad days. That's a kind of appreciation.
I want to share one thing. One time I asked my husband that if I broke down all the crockery, मतलब जो गिर जाए या टूट जाए, I just asked him कि क्या करेंगे फिर? तो वो बोले हम नया ले आएंगे. So that wins my heart. कि अरे डांटेंगे नहीं. He will bring.
वो तोड़ो, उसके बाद बात करेंगे.
फिर भी नहीं डांटे, मैंने बहुत बार तोड़ भी दिया है, but then also
exactly understand how you are communicating the language. He communicated with his answer what he meant with love, and you found your answer that this is what I want. Perfect combination. That's what we're talking of. Who else is there to share? Quick, before we close the session for today. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say that, I relate to AJ's story so much, because my mom is someone who also loves words of appreciation a lot. And people in my house do tend to forget a lot appreciation. So it's usually me telling her, the food is good, it's all very nice. So then seeing me, everyone realize, oh wait, we forgot this. And then that comes in. So it's like I found a middle ground, because I was never a person who yes, I do, but I tend to forget too. But due to her language of love, which is words of appreciation, I tend to find a middle ground. So due to that middle ground which I found, it is a really good way to build the relationship better.
Interesting. Thank you, Akansha, for sharing that. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Yeah, for me also it's the same. Means
Krishna, after that I'll come to Madhu. Go ahead, Sri Krishna.
So for me also it's same like Akansha. Whenever I say, even my father also. So kuch bhi banaye, it's acha banaye, it's very delicious. We say it. We acknowledge it every time.
Interesting. Thank you, Sri Krishna. Madhu, go ahead. Madhu?
Yeah, Rahul, I feel like here, here we are using the language of understanding the language of our other person. But here my small doubt is it any relation to the empathy of understanding others also will come under this?
When you're talking of empathy, you're still not talking of going or keeping others as priority. Empathy is about understanding what the other person is saying. It can help as a quality. It can help in making you love better, because you can empathize, you can understand what the other person is feeling, and you can see what the other person needs. That is a quality that can help you in loving better. But empathizing people and loving are two different things. So I hope that answers your question, Madhu.
Yeah,
So
got it.
as a human being, to be able to love better, it is natural for you to have good empathy, or having empathy with people that you're surrounded with. So having empathy with someone whom you love is a great start to understand what is it that they want. And that's where the communication starts to happen, and to understand what they want and then expressing it in that language. Uma ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, I just came back after celebrating my father's 90th birthday today. So living life made me come back. So I was just thinking there, I'm missing the session. So it is the love and bond which I have developed with living life, which has made me come back here. And if I want to say about my father, all the small things which he did for me made us recollect and made us celebrate his day today. And he's a great inspiration to all of us, even at this age. And like Ajay also said, I just heard him, small acts of kindness and a word of appreciation for our elders, whatever they do, that brings them a lot of joy. Those days, my father used to give me 2 rupees whenever he went out of station, or he used to work in a different place. And now he asks me to recharge his mobile. So when I delay it for some time, he say, how many times I have to tell you? Huh? So I remember that he did so much for us. And sometimes when we delay doing small things which they ask also, no? So I feel I should do it immediately, but sometimes I postpone and I regret afterwards. So small things which they ask, if we please them, they feel so nice. So love has no boundaries. Just accept the moment and celebrate and live with them. They'll feel so nice.
Thank you, Mama. Anyone else would like to share anything before I close? I get on to the closing of the session now. Yep. Okay. So with that, all I would say is, when I had this session in mind about what is love, thanks to Rabia who proposed the session, and when I thought about deeper of
Thank you.
Why is it that we need to have a session like this? And then I reflected on so many relationships that I have with so many people whom I say I love. It made me go deeper on wondering, why is it that sometimes the love isn't enough? That love still falls flat after all those things that you have done, all the efforts that you have made, all the love that you have from your end, and yet it fails. It fails. And so that's where this idea of having an open mic to listen to all you beautiful perspectives that you shared, different things, different ideas, different thoughts that each one of you all shared, is what I wanted to have on this platform, to reassure to all of us that the power of love is something which can move mountains. But most importantly, for it to have the power it has, you have to communicate in the same language the other person needs it. And that is when you're talking of it as a selfless act, and that person as a priority. So all I would say is, we've explored love today. All we need to be is mindful of what the other person's language is and speak that more often. And that's when we all will grow together in love, with love. Rabia.
Yeah, I just would like to add to it. Like, according to me, I can say love is what actually you can say is, if you love someone, just let him or her go. And if they come back to you, then they are yours. If they do not, then there was never.
I've heard a funny part of this. Let them go. If they come back,
let them. Yes.
If they come back, send them again, because they didn't find anyone else anywhere. All I would say is that. So with that, I come to an end of the session the usual way. Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 78 Saturday nights now. It's been an honor to be sharing this space with you all, listening to your perspectives, sharing our perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. Thank you for the love that you keep coming back every Saturday night. Look forward to seeing you all again next Saturday, 9 p.m. again. Good night, everyone.